Before we begin, thank you very much to Wide Convoy for joining the Patreon campaign. So we've done like Big Convoy. I suppose there's a Tall Convoy out there somewhere. So now we have Wide Convoy. Now we're going into different dimensions of Convoy with this joke. And I can't imagine Big Convoy any wider than he already is. As it is, I have no idea how he clears doors with those big tusks on his shoulders. But anyway, thank you for playing along, and thank you for the contribution. It does help the channel. Always very, very appreciated. So, I was going to do a review of this little guy here, 86 Soundwave, but have not had the opportunity to do it just yet. And then I thought to myself, well, there's another Soundwave thing I wanted to review, but wait a minute. And the more I started like connecting dots, the more I started to realize this might be the best time Soundwave's ever had. Like 2025 was a fantastic year for Soundwave, and it is continuing into 2026 during the span of 12 months here. You have just been eating it up if you are a Soundwave fan. So I wanted to point out just how much love that the Decepticon right-hand man of Megatron has been getting lately. So just as an example, for instance, yes, there is the 86 Soundwave that is hitting shelves right now. Everyone's pre-orders are getting filled. If you're getting your pre-orders over at Entertainment Earth with the description with the link in the description below, that helps me out a ton. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. That said, we have a fantastic Soundwave here that people are now getting a hold of. This image doesn't even show everything that this thing has. I mean, you've got Laserbeak and you have Ravage thrown in as well. And yeah, it is cartoon accurate. It is very, very articulated. It's butterfly jointed for some reason, but hey, I'm not going to argue it because any upgrade to the toy is a welcome one. Yeah, this thing is just spoiler alert for the review. This thing has some oddities to it, but it is very, very good. If you need a solid Soundwave, it's better than the Netflix one, I'll tell you that. There are no leftover, spaceship parts on this one, for instance. But no, everyone seems to have been going nuts over this. This is the most excited people are for a Transformer toy right now. I don't even see anyone really complaining about the upscale price on this because it's Soundwave. And you get so many little guys with him, and it's just a good toy, and all that. Soundwave getting some really good love from Hasbro. And here's the thing, it's not even that Soundwave that we're going nuts over. We also have this Soundwave. Now, we put this in my top 10 of 2025 for a reason. For an Earthspark Deluxe, with an Earthspark Deluxe's budget and price point, this is an exceptionally good Soundwave. This is an exceptionally good figure. The articulation is great. The overall look is great. The transformation is fun. And all you really end up with as kibble is the wings hanging off the legs, which frankly is really no different than a lot of Transformers out there where we excuse such things. And then you have this really impressive flying wing mode, that stealth bomber mode that is done so well. It's a super thin mode that lets you extend it and give it such a huge wingspan that it feels like a proper vehicle toy. It doesn't feel like they just, budgeted it down, right? It's an exceptionally good figure, but it's back in the awareness now because people are starting to find it at Walgreens of all places. So this one was tail end of Earthspark's normal toy line run. There's been a few special releases since then for other figures, and I suspect you'll see the same to get Spitfire and Cosmos out there. But this toy ended up being extremely limited run. I figured though, with how high the demand is, and for how expensive it's going on the aftermarket, there was no way Hasbro was just going to leave money sitting on the table. I told you from the beginning, there would be another way of getting this guy. It looks like right now Walgreens is the way to go about it. I don't know if they're getting the excess wave stock from the original release, or if this is a completely new run specifically for Walgreens. Either way, This guy is in the wild again, and he is absolutely worth tracking down. If you're in an area like mine, where there's a Walgreens every 5 minutes, maybe it's worth your trip because, you know, it'd save you like $100 compared to eBay. Yeah, seriously good toy. Don't pass on it if you find it. Adding to this, the most recent Lego Soundwave is created. Like, I should say the most recent Lego set for Transformers is also Soundwave. Again, came out last year, and again, this thing is exceptionally nice. So I actually just finished building mine. I got it as part of my my Christmas stuff, as you saw on that video. It is standing over there right now. It is very, very impressive as a piece. This is something else I thought of reviewing, but also I'm not really a Lego reviewer, and I know Lego fans, when they go to a review, they want something that I generally am not going to be able to provide. For instance, I don't know which bricks in this are unique. I don't know what colors of these bricks are unique, because for like hardcore Lego collectors, they care about getting unique shapes and unique parts so that they can build whatever they want in different colors. Well, I'm not privy to Lego enough to really like weigh in on that. What I can tell you is that this is probably my favorite of the Transformer Lego sets so far. Granted, there's only 3, and Bumblebee is not all that great, but Soundwave does some pretty cool things. Like, he actually has like a weird degree of automorph in his legs that's actually really neat. They found out a clever way of getting the chest window pop to work without adding a spring to it. Obviously, the cassettes also being brick built and transformable is a really neat trick as well. It's just a very well done set. It's just a very fun set to build. Did that over the course of like 4 or 5 nights worth of Lego sessions, and yeah, absolutely worth it. Like, they even figured out little tiny details, like you have your option of translucent red or translucent yellow bricks for his eyes, depending on if you want him toy accurate or cartoon accurate. Great touch. Great little touch. And it's not even buried in there. If you change your mind later, not all that hard to just open up some parts and switch them out. Very, very well done set. Very well done set. Now, beyond that, we are also anticipating a few releases coming this year. One of those being the upcoming MPG Soundwave. Now, admittedly, it is just a repaint of a 13-year-old masterpiece toy, but we will be real here. We will be fair. It's a very, very good masterpiece toy. You've got this brilliant rendition of Soundwave. You have Laserbeak that's going to come with him, which that is a very impressive Laserbeak. The cassette mode is the same size as the G1 cassette modes. However, it incorporates the transformation of the guns and rockets in the back of Laserbeak. They are not separate components. They're part of the transformation. That's incredibly impressive. I've always really liked that mold for that. And it's the only one where the camera comes out of his head, just like in the movie. Brilliant set. Okay, so admittedly, I have my grievances with them just doing the same mold 13 years later without doing any kind of real upgrades. Though it does look like you got a new gun, you got a new like hand accessory. I guess that's a thing. But for the most part, this is a very, very good figure. You know, it's sorry about that. Sorry about that. Hit the wrong button. It's just weird. It's just weird, but like, again, if you didn't get it the first time, it's absolutely worth getting again. It still holds up very, very well. But if you need a lot more of your money to go away, oh, I have something for you as well. This is also the year we are anticipating a Robosen Soundwave. Weirdly enough, I don't know what it is, but like the proportions on this thing kind of hit me a little bit better than some of the others, just because he looks buffer and tougher. This was always a shoe-in to become a Robosen at some point, because the transformation's pretty simplistic. You know, there's not really a whole lot of magic that needs to go into this one compared to like what they had to do for Megatron, Grimlock, etc. So yeah, absolutely no surprise that he gets it. no surprise that he's a Robosen now. And they've done pretty good on him. The one thing I didn't mention on the Lego was the advent of, like, it has a sound brick in it, which does add quite a lot because it's actually a really robust sound brick. But this one is obviously, a Robosen. It's loaded with lines recorded by Frank Welker. You have a recording feature, so it can actually, the first Soundwave I can remember that is actually a recorder. We've had a couple that can actually play cassettes or even MP3s. We have never had one that I can recall that actually did record audio like Soundwave does. That's a really cool touch. That's a really cool trick to pull off for this. And to be fair, it's Robosen. You need as many cool tricks to justify this as humanly possible. But it's cool for what it is. It is cool for what it is. And it's not the only Hasbro partner that's really loved Soundwave in the last year's time span. So the Action Edition Blockies model kit Soundwave came out. And I am not one to go for these very often. I will point out, they have been doing these for a bit, but the G1s are actually pretty few. So Soundwave got in really early on these. And it is, again, very good. This one actually ruined Bandai model kits for me. So this one I also got for Christmas. I've already built it, put it together. It's fantastic. But I'll tell you this, the building process for it is so much nicer than a Bandai kit. This one, like, comes off the sprues really. I'm not being paid to say this, by the way. I know I've done sponsor stuff with Blockies in the past. No, this is just me glazing them because they produced a really, really good toy. But removing this thing from the sprues is clean. I barely ever had to go over anything with an X-Acto knife to clean off mold flash. It's very well articulated. The look and proportions are really good. You're getting 4 of his cassettes while you're at it. I also thought it was weird that they actually had the Siege version of Laserbeak in this set instead of the proper one. And I was not aware that the proper one was included in the Megatron kit. So in order to get a proper Laserbeak, I think you'd have to go with the Megatron. Personally, I think I would have just done Buzzsaw instead, rather than going with a weird version of Laserbeak that doesn't fit the rest. But that's just me. I'm not going to argue this. Again, it's just a fantastic toy. And again, it's not the only Hasbro partner that decided that it was Soundwave's time. You just look all over the place and you're going to find that. Aldi did a Soundwave action figure. Blockies did a few others in their smaller lines. YOLO Park also doing Soundwaves. And here we got the Super 7 reactive blind boxes, where this year's set also includes Soundwave. Do you want a little bit more? Well, you've got those little blind bag tiny turbo changers. There's a Soundwave in there. Now, this is all not a big surprise because Soundwave is one of the big 3 of the Decepticons. He is third in line behind Starscream and Megatron as far as hierarchy goes. So it's no surprise that he's been getting so many toys lately. It's just the fact that they're all coming at the same time. It just feels like we are absolutely inundated with Soundwave releases in every direction. And the thing is, we know that we are not done with this because we have listings to tell us what else we are getting. So in the 2026 Studio Series listings, there is a Deluxe Transformers 1 Soundwave that is also listed. So that is on the horizon. It's weird for me to see a Deluxe Soundwave after all of these, like, Voyagers, Leaders, etc. But this one is going to be fun and interesting. All of the Transformer ones are Deluxes, so that shouldn't actually surprise me. There's only like a small group of Voyagers amongst all of these toys. But yeah, this one is also, like, really, and should be really good. It should be really good. And it's another John Bailey Soundwave, so I like getting the toys that my friend voiced. Also, in the listings, and this one we've been speculating on for a while, but I think it's pretty certain at this point, we also have a comic book Soundwave that is supposedly, according to the listings, due out this year. Now, really, the only sensible thing here that I could imagine is a 86 Soundwave repaint into the Marvel comic book colors he's never gotten, which is the maroon and gray. And I would be down for that in a heartbeat. Aside from this being a very good toy, I would love to have another shot at it in the color scheme that they've never done before, even though it's kind of a major part. There's a lot of people who still swear by the Marvel comics over the original cartoon, just because the story is so much more serious and in depth. I don't know why they've never done it before now, but it does look like this is the year that we're finally going to be getting it. The debate is the head going to have a mouth or a mouth plate? Because he was shown in the Marvel comics with both, especially early in the run. So we just sit and wait to see when our purple Soundwave is actually going to be a real thing. I am excited to see it. I think he's going to look really, really good. And then there is the speculative. Right now, we're all staring at Missing Link and wondering why Soundwave is not there yet. It seems like an obvious inclusion in a line that only has one Decepticon, and that's Nemesis Prime, and that feels kind of lame. It's overdue for Missing Link to have Decepticon representation. I can imagine Megatron is difficult, not only because of gun laws in the US, meaning they cannot cross-sell it with Hasbro Pulse, but also because that toy is very thin, spindly, and very complicated for a G1 toy. So getting more articulation into the Megatron design, probably going to be very tricky. Engineering is also the same reason for the Starscream, likely being very difficult to pull off, particularly how to handle the fists when they're trying to avoid part forming on these guys. Because that one, I have contemplated myself. I genuinely have no idea how you work his fists into transformation without part forming at all. But we look at Soundwave and go, like, Soundwave's already pretty articulated for a G1 toy. You really wouldn't have to do all that much to make him Missing Link. So it seems obvious at some point he's going to be a Missing Link, and he does seem to be, of all the Decepticons, the go-to, the easiest one to do. So I think for him, the only thing holding him back might be how to articulate the cassettes. But given what Masterpiece managed to do at that size, yeah, I think that's doable. And that's just in the toy front. You know, if you are a Soundwave fan, yeah, Skybound's got your back. He's playing pretty major parts in the storyline so far. He took a lead of the Decepticons before Shockwave showed up and showed how menacing he could be as a villain. At the moment, his story arc has interesting levels of depth to it. So at the moment, spoiler alert for the Skybound books, and you really should be reading the Skybound books. They are very, very good. Right now, he is a prisoner of the Autobots, separated from Ravage and Laserbeak, who are with Megatron. And he's been faced with almost like a moral crisis, because he views Thundercracker's newfound allegiance to the Autobots as treacherous, you know, just throwing him under the bus and throwing him through the mud and all that. But Thundercracker poses that, you know, if he is asked to do something, you know, cruel or unnecessary, then he will see how cruel and evil the Decepticons truly are. But Soundwave has already experienced that with what the Decepticons were doing with Ravage, and just abusing Ravage's corpse and refusing to let Soundwave actually repair his friend. So he kind of reflects on that for a bit. He has seen their cruelty. So what direction does Soundwave go in now? It's actually a really interesting point in the storyline so far. So yeah, Skybound's doing things with Soundwave as well. And I think it's going to lead to some really, really interesting storytelling. But yeah, that is like your era of Soundwave, who's just been popping off the last 12 months and will continue to do so throughout 2026. It's fun for me to see, because we remember the age where Soundwave was just not releasable. No kid's going to know what a cassette player is. We can't make a new Soundwave toy unless we radically change him up. Or, you know, we'll just avoid him altogether. Like, we've seen that for so long. It's good to see him, like, in the forefront like this, because he's still a really, really good, really popular character. So, Let me know what you've thought of this era of Soundwave, because the weird thing about all this is that like all the Soundwave stuff that's coming out is really, really good. Like it doesn't even have any stinkers on the way. The toys, even the repaint stuff is good. The Lego set's good. The the Blockies kit is good. It's just a really good time to be a Soundwave fan. So yeah, let me know in the comment section what you think of the Soundwave revolution going on right now. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time. Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.